Hey guys, I cannot believe how far we're into 2026, but never too late to do a 26 books to read in 2026 and just make my life difficult by taking 2 minutes out of the equation and using none of the books I've read so far this year for this. So we've got a nice mountain hoard of books, of 26 books for this next 10 months of the year. We'll see how we're doing and we'll get right into it and see what I've got here. These are books that I'm looking forward to already on my shelves, not like new releases or anything. Things I've already got on my shelf and I want to bring down my TBR. So let's get into it. The first book we have is James by Percival Everett, book I've been looking forward to for so long and I wait for paperback for. And it is based in 1861. Illustrated time, when the enslaved Jim overhears he's about to be sold to a new owner in New Orleans and separated from his wife and daughter forever, he flees to nearby Jackson Island until he can formulate a plan. Meanwhile, Huck Finn has faked his own death to escape his violent father, who recently returned to town. So begins a dangerous and transcendent journey along the Mississippi River towards the elusive promise of the Free States and beyond. As James and Huck navigate the treacherous waters, each bend in the river holds the promise of both salvation and demise. And together the unlikely pair embark on the most life-changing odyssey of them all. Looks gorgeous. I've heard great things about that one. Slow Gods by Claire North. I've read a couple of Claire North's books now and I love them. And this gorgeous edition is from Luma Crate. My name is Mawukana Adna Vedanas, and I'm a very poor copy of myself. In telling my story, there are certain things that I should perhaps lie about. I should make myself a hero, pretend I was not used by strangers and gods, did not leave people behind. Here is one truth. Out there in deep space, in the pilot's chair, I died. And then I was reborn and became something not quite human, something that could speak to the infinite dark. I vowed to become the scourge of the world that wronged me. This is the story of a supernova event that burned planets and felled civilizations. This is also a story of how many lives I've lived since I died for the first time. Are you listening? Which sounds wonderful. Chain Gang All-Star by Nana Kawame. I'm so sorry for butchering this. Ajiye Brenua. We start looking at it beforehand, which sounds exciting. The popular and highly controversial program inside America's prison system. In packed arenas, watched by millions of live stream viewers, prisoners compete as gladiators for the ultimate prize, their freedom. Fan favourites Loretta Thurwall and Tameta Hurricane Starker are teammates and lovers. Thurwall is nearing the end of her time on the circuit, free in just a few matches, a fact she carries as heavy as her lethal hammer. As she prepares for her final encounters, as protesters gather at the gates, and as the programme's corporate owners stack the odds against her, will the price be simply too high? Ooh, this is signed. That's nice. Looking forward to that one too. We also have In Ascension by Martin McKeans, a nice little sci-fi book. Lee grew up in Rotterdam, drawn to the waterfront and escape for an unhappy home life. Enchanted by the undersea world of her childhood, she excels in marine biology, travelling the globe to study ancient organisms. When a trench is discovered in the Atlantic Ocean, Lee joins the exploration team, hoping to find evidence of the Earth's first life forms, what she instead finds causing to question everything we know about our own beginnings. Her discovery leads Lee to work for an ambitious new space agency, where she learns that the Atlantic Trench is the only one of several related phenomena across the world, each piece linking up to suggest a pattern beyond human understanding. Lee knows that to continue working with the agency will mean leaving behind her declining mother and her younger sister and face an impossible choice: to remain with her family or to embark on a journey across the breadth of the cosmos. I've been looking forward to for a very long time. Double or Nothing by Kim Sherwood, one of the only James Bond style stuff I will go for, because I don't tend to actually want to read any actual James Bond books, but in the world where James Bond is missing, 007 has been captured, perhaps even killed, by a sinister private military company. His whereabouts are unknown. Meet the new generation of spies: Johanna Harwood, 003, Joseph Dryden, 004, Sid Bashir, 009. Together, they represent the very best and brightest of MI6. Skilled, determined, and with a license to kill, they will do anything to protect their country. The fate of the world rests in their hands. Tech billionaire Sir Bertram Paradise claims he can reverse the climate crisis and save the planet. But can he really? The new spies must uncover the truth because the future of humanity hangs in the balance. Time. is running out. That sounds exciting. I love a little thriller and a spy novel. The Frozen People by Ellie Griffiths, which is a gorgeous little sci-fi sort of time. I believe it's time travel. Let's have a look. Some murders can't be solved in just one lifetime. Ali Dawson is a police officer working on cold cases. Crimes so old, the joke goes that they're almost frozen. Ali's latest assignment is her biggest challenge to date. She must step back to the heart of the Victorian age to clear the name of Kane Templeton, the eccentric ancestor of Tony PM Isaac Templeton, boss of Ali's son Finn. Kane Templeton was a part of a sinister group called the Collectors, the rumour being that you had to kill a woman to become a member. Ali arrives in London in January 1850 and is directed to a house inhabited by artists, to be greeted by a dead woman at her feet. Soon she finds herself in extreme danger. Even worse, she appears to be stuck, unable to make her way back to the present. A good little adventure murder mystery book there. The Final Strife by Sarah L. Arafi. Ooh, and I'm looking forward to her Cleopatra coming out soon as well. It's great. But this is The Empire is divided by blood. Red-blooded embers, blue-blooded dusters, and clear-blooded ghostings. All blood will be spilled in the coming battle for power. The Akibar, a set of trials held every 10 years to find the next ruler of the empire, is about to begin. All embers can join, but requires great skill to win. Silo was destined to become Warden of Strength, forged as a weapon to change the empire from within. Those dreams of a better future turned to dust when her family were brutally murdered. But Silo wasn't made to sparkle, she was born to burn, and the trials draw near. It's time for her to decide, will she rule the empire or destroy it? First in the trilogy, that looks good. The newest Samantha Shannon, Among the Burning Flowers. It has been centuries since the Draconic army took wing, almost extinguishing humankind. Ooh, which is my favourite, the prequel. Marusa Vetalda is a prisoner in her own home, controlled by her cold father, King Stigurso. Over the mountains, her betrothed, Albrecht Levingen, rules Mentonton. It's obvious I haven't listened to an audiobook of this. No problem. I'm just butchering all the names. In all but name. Together, they intend to usher in a better world. A better world seems impossibly distant to Estina Meligu, who hunts the draconic beasts that have slept across the world for centuries. But now the greater worm Fyorodal is stirring, and Yiskelin, the land of sunshine and lavender, will soon be ablaze. Another prequel to Pride of the Orange Tree, which is going to be so interesting. A Greek mythology retelling from Natalie Haynes. No friends to this house. No friend to this house. Medea retelling. Interesting. This is what no one tells you in the song sung about Jason and Iago. This part of his quest has been forgotten by everyone but me. Jason is Argonaut, set sail to find the Golden Fleece. The journey is filled with danger for him and everyone he meets, and if he ever reaches the distant land he seeks, he faces almost certain death. Medea, priestess, witch and daughter of a brutal king, has the power to save the life of a stranger. Will she betray her family and her home, or what will she demand in return? Medea and Jason seize their one chance of life together as the gods intend, but their love is steeped in vengeance from the beginning, and no one, not even the closest to them, will be safe. Okay, this is what I've had for a while, and I want to check out to Drackle by J.D. Barker, which is Dracula adjacent. I don't know one of his just one of his the right sentence. It is 1868. 21-year-old Bram Stoker has barricaded himself inside the tower of a long-abandoned abbey. He is armed with mirror and crucifixes, holy water, some white roses, a notebook and a gun. His only solace is a bottle of brandy. His fervent prayer is to survive the night. Time is short. Determined to leave a record of what he has witnessed, the young man begins to write. The tale he tells is an extraordinary one. For on the other side of that locked door waits an ungodly nightmare that he hoped had ended years before. Speculation still surrounds what was in the missing first 100 pages of the original Dracula. Inspired by notebooks and journals Bram Stoker left behind, Dracula takes us back to the very beginning to reveal what drove him to write one of the most terrifying stories ever told. And I do love Dracula, so this will be great to read. Dawn of the Firebird by Sarah Mughal Rana, which is a gorgeous edition with so much purple. I love it. The discarded daughter of an emperor, Kahamila Zad, is raised. she's raised, with her mother's nomadic tribe until a violent raid ends that peaceful life. Amid the chaos of death, the heavenly magic of Nur awakens within her, granting her the power to wield a cosmic light. Camilla suddenly goes from outsider to weapon, finally accepted into her father's court. But tragedy strikes again, and when her clansmen are defeated by a rival empire, Camilla vows lasting vengeance as she escapes. Hiding her identity, Camilla infiltrates the enemy's army academy. She studies Jinn magic and martial arts from cutthroat mystic monks in a bid to bring down an empire from within. But through her studies, Camilla begins to credit her father's teachings of war and rule. With the war escalating across the kingdom and the twisted darkness spreading within her, Camilla is torn between two impossible choices: revenge or freedom. I personally would go for freedom, but ask me to see what she chooses. And we have a festive one, which I'm going to read at the end of the year. Murder at Holly House by Denzel Mayrick. A Village of Secrets. It is December 1952. And a dead stranger has been found lodged up the chimney of Holly House in the snow-covered town of Elderby. Is he the simple thief or would-be killer? Either way, he was on anyone's Christmas wish list. A mystery that can't be solved. Inspector Frank Grasby is ordered to investigate, but it's often the way for him. Things don't go according to plan. A Christmas to remember. When the local doctor's husband is murdered, Grasby begins to realise that everyone at Elderby is hiding something. If he can't uncover the truth soon, the whole country will pay a dreadful price. Which sounds very festive, I'm sure. Calla by Colin Walsh. A little Irish book. Well, we were such a force back then, when she was still with us. In the seaside town of Kinlow, on Ireland's west coast, three old friends are thrown together for the first time in years. They, Helen, Joe and Mush, were part of a original group of 6 inseparable teenagers in the summer of 2003. With motherless, reckless Calla Lannan as their group's white-hot centre, soon after that summer peak, Calla disappeared without a trace. What happened to her? I love 1984, so reading Julia, the accompanying novel, seems a bit of a no-brainer, by Sandra Newman. I love pieces that are in conversation with other pieces and gives you new light and you just explore it in just new ways. It's 1984 and Julia Worthing works as a mechanic fixing the novel writing machines in the fiction department at the Ministry of Truth in London. Chief city of Airstrip 1. Under the rule of the party and its leader, Big Brother, Julia routinely breaks the law but also collaborates with the regime whenever necessary. Everyone likes Julia, a diligent member of the Junior Anti-Sex League, though she is secretly promiscuous, and she knows how to supervise a world of constant surveillance. Newspeak, doublethink, and the threat of the thought police. She's adept at staying alive, but Julia becomes intrigued by a colleague from the records department, a mid-level work of the outer party called Winston Smith. And when one day, finding herself walking towards Winston, she impulsively hands him a note, she comes to realise that she's losing her grip and can no longer safely navigate her world. And one I've been wanting to read for many moons. The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcase by Stuart Turton. I love the design of this, by the way. At a party thrown by her parents, Evelyn Hardcase will be killed. Again. She's been murdered hundreds of times, and each day Aidan Bishop is too late to save her. The only way to break the cycle is to identify Evelyn's killer, but every time the day begins again, Aidan wakes up in the body of a different guest, and someone is desperately trying to stop him ever escaping Blackheath. There's a limited number of things. That's been interesting to see the build-up. And then we have body horror sci-fi with Overgrowth, which is an interestingly forward cover. Since she was 3 years old, Anastasia Miller has been telling everyone who would listen that she's an alien disguised as a human being, and the armada that left on Earth is coming for her. Since she was 3 years old, no one has believed her. Now, with an alien signal from the stars being broadcast around the world, humanity is finally starting to realise it's already been warned, and it may be too late. The invasion is coming. Stasia's blood-lodged family is on the way to bring her home, and very few family reunions are willing to cross the gulf of space of one misplaced child. What happens when you know what's coming and just refuse to listen? Which does sound fantastic. I love The Hogfather. It's one of my favourite Christmas books, so I know this book chronologically with Terry Pratchett comes first, and read Mort because Death in that is a brilliant character, and I highly recommend The Hogfather. Just such a great book. I love Terry Pratchett's style of writing with the funny and the observations. It's gorgeous. Death comes to us all. When he came to Mort, he offered him a job. Death is a grim reaper of the Discworld, a black-robed skeleton with a scythe who ushers souls to the next world. He is also fond of cats and endlessly baffled by humanity. Soon Death is yearning to experience what humanity really has to offer, but to do that, he'll need to hire some help. It's an offer Mort can't refuse. As Death's apprentice, he'll have free board, use of the company house, and being dead isn't compulsory. It's a dream job until Mort falls in love with Death's daughter, Jezebel, and discovers that your boss can be killer on your love life. Next we have Medici Heist by Catalan Sheridan, which I'm looking forward to so much. Let's see. Connor, it's Renaissance heist in Florence. I love it. Con artist Rosa Cecilin arrives in Florence the same day that Medici Pope Leo X returns to take the reins of power. This is not a coincidence. The new Pope is extorting a mountain of indulgent money from the people of Florence to bolster his power, and Rosa has a plan to take it back. To pull off Renaissance's greatest robbery, she recruits a team of skilled misfits: Sarah the tinker, Khalid the fighter, and Gissimo the irrepressible master of disguise. To top it off, Rosa even enlists the help of the famed artist Michelangelo. But as the authorities draw closer and the Medici noose pulls tighter around Milan, old secrets resurface and tensions in the group start to flare. What begins as a robbery could be the key to saving the city itself if Rosa and company don't destroy each other first. Which sounds fantastic. We have a history book, because I need to have at least one on my list. The Voice of Nimes, Women, Sex and Marriage in Reformation Languedoc by Susanna Lipscomb. This is basically based on about 1,200 cases brought before like these moral courts, and it's saying what they say about women, because it's very much everyday voices when women have to speak for themselves in these courts, and you can see different aspects of life and how much prevalent the church was in depicting every bit parts of everybody's life. And so she's gone through all these cases and got a nice little book talking about it, which sounds fantastic. I want to read it. And since I was a massive Robin Hood fan, when Richard Armitage came out with a book, and he was Guy Gisborne in the British, the BBC series, and I love that so much. I had to read Geneva. I think he's had a second one out, which also sounds interesting. Nobel Prize winner scientist Sarah Connor has started to show the same telltale signs of Alzheimer's disease as her father: memory loss, even blackouts. So she's reluctant to accept the invitation to be the guest of honour at a prestigious biotech conference, until her husband Daniel, a neuroscientist, persuades her that the publicity storm will be worth it. The technology being unveiled at this conference could revolutionise medicine forever. More than that, it could save Sarah's life. In Geneva, the couple of vetted as stars, at least Sarah is, but behind the five-star luxury investors are circling. Controversial blogger Terry London is all over the story, and Sarah's symptoms are getting worse. As events begin to spiral out of control, Sarah can't be sure who to trust, including herself. Oh, I love a reliable narrator. Blood over Brighthaven, the same author of the Sword of Keegan, self-published, this one's traditionally published, of M.L. Wang, which sounds amazing. For 20 years, Sayona had devoted every waking moment to the study of magic. When she finally achieves her ambition to become the first woman admitted to the high magistracy at the University of Magic's industry, she finds herself undermined by every turn. Instead of a lab assistant, she's paired with a janitor, putting her crucial research at risk. But Thomil wasn't always a janitor. Once a nomadic hunter from the wild plains outside the city, he now sees a chance to understand the forces that decimated his tribe and drove him from his homeland. Together, they unravel an ancient secret that could change the course of magic forever, if it doesn't get them killed first. And I've heard very, very good things about this one. The Night Ship by Jess Kidd, which is a nice little historical piece. One shipwreck, two misfits, 300 years apart. 1628. A young girl called Mayakin boards the Batavia, the most impressive sea vessel of that age. As she discovers shadowy secrets above and below deck, the fate of the ship will become increasingly uncertain. 1989. Gil, a boy mourning the death of his mother, is placed in the care of his reclusive grandfather. Their home is a shack on a tiny fishing island off the Australian coast, notable only for its reefs and wrecked boats. There's no place for a misfit child. How long until Gil's actions get him noticed by the wrong people? Which sounds like a great little mashup. I can't wait to see how it interconnects here. And we have another Greek mythology retelling, Atalanta by Jennifer Saint, which, they're both actually with the Argonauts, aren't they? because Atalanta was on the Argo. So it's good to see two different Medeas then. Well, some versions say she's on the Argo, some don't, because, you know, Greek mythology have so many different versions of every myth. When a daughter is born of the king of Arcadia, she brings only disappointment. Left exposed on a mountainside, the defenseless infant Atalanta is left to the mercy of the passing mother bear and raised alongside the cubs under the protective eye of the goddess Artemis. Swearing that she will provide her worth alongside the famed heroes of Greece, Atalanta leaves her forest to join Jason's band of Argonauts, but can she carve out her own place in the legends in a world made for men? Which would be interesting, because I think the most complete version we've got of the Argonauts has like she goes and like Jason says, no, your woman, you're not coming, you'll be a distraction, and like her spear goes to like represent her. So this will be Atlanta actually on the boat, which would be great. Another book I've been looking forward to for a very long time and can't wait to read is The Future by Naomi Alderman. When Martha Incorn fled her father's isolated compound in Oregon, she never expected to find herself working for a powerful social media mogul, hell-bent on controlling everything. Now she's surrounded by mega-rich companies designing private weather, predictive analytics, and covert weaponry, while spouting technological prophecy. Martha may have left her cult, but if the apocalyptic warnings in her father's Fox and Rabbit sermon, once a parable to her, are starting to come true, how much future is actually left? Across the world, in a mall in Singapore, Lia Zen, an internet-famous survivalist, flees from an assassin. She's cornered, desperate, and worst of all, might die without ever knowing what's going on. Suddenly, a remarkable piece of software appears on her phone telling her exactly how to escape, who made it, what is it really for, and who's behind it. And if those behind it can save her from danger, what do they want from her, and what else do they know about the future? Martha and Zay's word collide about to collide. An explosive chain of events is set in motion. While a few billionaires assured of their own safety lead the world to destruction, Martha's relentless drive and Zen's insatiable curiosity could lead to something beautiful, or the cataclysm or end of civilization. Which sounds awesome. I love sci-fi and love the sprayed edge. Last two, I think. We're down to last two. So we have Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia, which I've been looking forward to for a while. Glamorous socialite Naomi Tabuas. I would like to apologise for butchering all the names for, I think, everyone in this whole video. Life of parties and entertainment is interrupted when she receives a frantic letter from her newlywed cousin, who is begging to be rescued from a mysterious doom. Naomi immediately heads to High Palace, an estate in the mountains of Mexico owned by the secluded Doyle family, determined to discover what is troubling her beloved cousin. The fortunes of her silver-mining daughters have eroded, and the house is a dilapidated relic. Even more worrisome than the inhabitants of High Place, there's a luring yet menacing new husband, his foreboding father, and other taciturn relatives. Soon the house itself begins invading Naomi's dreams, with visions of blood and doom. She must tread carefully, for there are many secrets behind the walls of High Palace, and Naomi may soon find it impossible to leave this enigmatic house behind. Which I also love the design of this wallpaper, and the nice colour contrast there. Gorgeous. And with the last but definitely not least, since these are in no particular order, we have The Stella of Small Fortunes by Julie Long. Nice little cozy book. Fleeing a troubled past, immigrant fortune teller Tara roams a dusty countryside with her only mule for companion, telling small fortunes for small prices. Big fortunes come with big consequences, which she knows from bitter experience. It's a lonely life until she encounters an ex-mercenary and a semi-reformed thief, who recruit her into their desperate search for a lost child. Soon they're joined by Baker with a need for adventure, and of course, a slightly magical cat. Because, you know, of course. Teo sets down a new path with companions as big-hearted as her fortunes are small, but as her friends break down her walls, the shadow of her past closes in. Now Teo must decide whether to risk everything to save the family she never thought she could have. Which looks so much fun. Those are 26 books in no particular order, but these ones I've got had on my bookshelves and I'm really looking forward to reading. A little collection of different things, and let me know what you think. Let me know what you are reading this year, what you've read so far, and if you've read any of these, what you think of any of them. We hope you're having a great time and have a great book to read. Bye bye.